All right, Mob, welcome back to the 4th and 31 Cream of the Crop podcast, your one stop shop for all things college and SEC football. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a minute. And still about 80% of you are not subscribed, so take a minute and do so. It would make us all happy, especially after the debacle in the Rose Bowl. We're just meager podcasters, just wanting to like and a subscribe. I'm your host, part of the Killer Bees broadcast team, the Chad Bullock, along with Scott, the producer, the man, the myth, the legend, and the coach, Bo, and the man who would pull for Ohio State before he'd pull for the St. Paul Saints, Brant Fonbaum. And Mob, what a Elite Eight edition we had. Not the Rose Bowl we all wanted. We'll get into that because we're all a bunch of Alabama and SEC homers. We'll get into that. We're going to delay the misery just for a little bit. We're going to go chronological order here. So, Mob, let us know in the comments what you thought. I pretty much know what some of you thought. But it's okay. We love all of it, hate or love. So let's get into it, boys. We'll start with the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Miami with a little bit of an upset over Ohio State, 24-14. Bo, what you got on this one?
Man, I tell you, you want a master class in line of scrimmage play and how line of scrimmage is so critical. That was it. Mario Cristobal and Miami absolutely just took Ohio State's manhood at the line of scrimmage. And that, sometimes you just go, you run up against a matchup where they're just bigger and better. And that's just what we have there. I mean, there were areas where Ohio State had a much better team, I thought. But on the lines of scrimmage where it really counts, Miami was just superior at the point of attack. What was amazing to me was how Miami, those two ends, Mesador and Bain, just abused those tackles. And I talked about that going in, and I know I got some hate for that, Ohio State. Our Ohio State Big Ten brethren out there. I know it's hard to get called on our faults, believe me, because we're going to get into that, guys. But those two defensive ends just ransacked that offensive line, and it wasn't even close. The amazing thing to me is Bain would line up so wide, and they would try to chip him with a tight end. He would just run through the tight end and then run around the tackle and then get to saying before he's even gotten through one progression. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I would like to say one other thing about go back to Texas A&M. There were so many people. Oh, Texas A&M doesn't deserve to be in because they lost to Miami. They shouldn't have got in. That is such a lazy, awful argument. They absolutely deserve to get in. They played their way into that tournament. But just like Ohio State, they ran up against a team that had their kryptonite. And that's what, when you get to this point of the season, that's what it's all about. It's can your best beat their best? And Miami had all the answers. Even when Ohio State had that surge in the second half, Miami, how did they do it? They did it with their defense. They got the sacks. They got the stops. They kept the field position in their favor. And they had a phenomenal drive at the end. And one last thing, Carson Beck. That guy was throwing his body around like it was the last game he was ever going to play in his life. Big tip of the cap. He only threw for about, $130, but that's all he needed.
$138.
Take care of the football, get in and out of the right plays, get in and out of the right protections, and let your team around you work. And he put his shoulder down. There was one play. He ran over a defensive back and then ran through another one. It was like a 3rd and 10 or a 3rd and 11. Ran right over two defensive backs basically at the sticks to pick up the yardage. And I was like, man, you can say whatever you want about his mess ups, about his shortcomings. That kid's got a lot of heart. And they are going to be a tough out in these next two games.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Carson Beck because it's almost like he's almost like a game manager at this point. And I don't mean that in any disrespect, because Alabama's won 3 national championships with a game manager in our lifetime. Jay Barker, Greg McElroy, and A.J. McCarron, his first national championship. That's all they were, was a game manager. Don't make mistakes. Make plays when you have to. I mean, like you said, 19 to 26.
Get the ball down. Stay ahead of the sticks. That's all you. Yeah. I mean, we sit here and say, oh, it's so simple. It's not that simple, because if it were that simple, anybody could do it. But when you got a great supporting cast like that, Know your role. Just like The Rock. Know your role.
And you also want to know what all four of those teams had in common: a dominating defense. So you're not asking your quarterback to do much, hand it off, make the occasional pass, and just don't screw it up, basically. But I mean, Carson Beck did exactly what he had to do, and I'm glad you brought him up. Bro Deucer, what you got?
Well, I sure hate to say it, this game kind of went like we thought it would. I know we were all pulling for Miami in this game, I believe. I don't think anybody here was yelling for Ohio State to win. I mean, and we were talking about it before this game about how Miami's defense was really going to be the X factor in this. And, that D-line, those two ends, I mean, they controlled the game. And, man, this was a great watch. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than watching Ohio State lose in a playoff game. So yeah, I mean, hey, on to Miami to the next round. I'm not gonna say I'm pulling for them because they're playing an SEC team, so we'll see what happens. I like their chances against Ole Miss for sure. That defense, man, that's a national championship defense, if you ask me. They got all the tools they need to win a title on defense. So, yeah, it was a great game. I enjoyed it.
All right, Brant, what you got?
I'm gonna reference Bo as well because I feel like me and him kind of at the same points. As a line of scrimmage can win you games, and I mean I kind of felt when going into the Miami Ohio State game, I kind of felt like Ohio State was vulnerable because I mean they didn't win the line of scrimmage against Indiana either. So I think that when Miami's watching film, they're saying, okay, well all we had to do is follow the formula that we've seen, and they followed it, and I mean, their defensive line is so scary. And I mean, in Ole Miss, I know even regardless of having multiple games of film to watch, I know they're watching that film and they're trying to figure out how to stop those guys. The good thing is that Trinidad can move, so I mean, he maybe can help them a little bit on that front. But I didn't expect Ohio State to go out like that. I mean, I felt like they were a national championship contender, and I definitely felt like they were going to be there because I don't know of anybody that picked Miami to even go this far, much less win the whole thing. So I think that this is exactly what Miami wanted. I think they got the draw they wanted. I just don't think anybody wanted to play Georgia. And speaking of Georgia, I mean, got to give Ole Miss their flowers. I mean, they did exactly what we had talked all year that nobody could do besides Bama in Week 4 in Athens. People could beat up Georgia, but they couldn't put Georgia down. And Ole Miss did it. I mean, Ole Miss fought to the end. They put them down, even though they had 1 second on the clock for 8 plays or whatever it was. But, I mean, it honestly, it felt like, I think their confidence is so high now because they beat the team that everybody was saying you can't kill. I think their confidence is through the roof, and I don't know if anybody can stop Ole Miss at this point. I mean, I know how good the line of scrimmage play is for Miami, O-line and D-line. But I think when you have a team that's as dedicated to winning, to prove somebody wrong as Ole Miss is right now, I think that it's pretty hard to kind of root against them, but also rule them out.
Yeah, hey, Brant, just one other thing on that. You got two teams that kind of fall into that category because people have doubted Ole Miss all year, and with no Lane Kiffin, and then all the smart guys out there in the media, Miami shouldn't even be there. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there. Well, they're about to be in a position to win the national championship.
Yeah.
But one thing Ole Miss is going to have to do, because I really think they could really get beat up at the line of scrimmage, they better go fast. They better go fast, and just wear that defensive line out. Make them remember how when Bama beat Georgia in that NFC championship in the SEC championship game in what was it 22,
23, 21, 23.
Yeah, well, then we lost to them in the Natty, but in that SEC championship game, we just started off throwing. We spread them out and just went fast up tempo. By halftime, Georgia's tongues were dragging around. They couldn't get in a stance, and I think that's exactly what Ole Miss is going to have to do to Ole Miss to Miami, because if they're just going to try to play straight up ball, Miami's just going to maul them at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the second game, or the first game on New Year's Day, the Capital One Orange Bowl, and this was the first of 2 consecutive stinkers on TV. As Oregon just absolutely dominates Texas Tech 23-0. Producer, what you got on this one?
Yeah, this was kind of a snooze fest, and I hated it. I'd picked Texas Tech to win this game, and boy, just another one I was wrong about. Just absolute no offense from them at all. Oregon had their way the entire game. I never thought Texas Tech had a chance from the time the game started to the time it ended. Oregon did what they wanted to do. They controlled the game, line of scrimmage. Again, Texas Tech had absolutely zero offense whatsoever. And people have been calling Oregon's defense sus for a while now. I didn't see any sus that day. But then again, it's Texas Tech. So I don't know. Like I said, when you go to Texas Tech, the first thing I think about when I say Texas Tech is defense. I've never really been great on their offense, but it's been manageable all year long. But that day, I saw absolute zero offense. Oregon did what they wanted to do. Oregon's moving on. Of all the games, this is probably the most. Well, there was that other game, probably the most less interested, less interesting game of the week by far, I believe.
All right, Brant, what you got?
I feel like we kind of got proved right on one thing in this game and then proved wrong on another. Because I was one of those people that said Oregon's defense was very suspect. I just think, I know that JMU scored a couple of garbage time touchdowns and everything like that, but even when they scored, it just felt like Oregon wasn't trying on defense. And so I really felt like, as inconsistent as Texas Tech's offense is, I really felt like they could put what they needed to forward to, if not make it competitive, win the game. And Oregon proved me wrong. I've never known Oregon to be this massive defense-sided team or anything like that. I think that Texas Tech came in, they had a plan, the plan didn't work. They said, oh shit, where do we go from here? And nothing was working after that. I think that, and it's Dan Lanning's specialty, and it's improvising. That is just what Dan Lanning does. And I think that on the move, I think that if you go into a game plan, and I think the same thing about Indiana. Granted, I don't think anybody's going to beat Indiana, but I think if Indiana goes into that game and they have a plan and it doesn't work and they have to improvise, I think Oregon could beat them. It's just something about Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. They know how to adjust to everything. I wasn't mad, but I was upset at the game. It's just not it's one of those games that I was actually really excited for both sides of the ball, and I feel like I got nothing out of it. Granted, the next game, oh my God. But I don't know. I just felt like I didn't get what I was supposed to get out of it. I think Texas Tech is still a really good football team. They'll be right back here again next year. I don't know of anybody in the Big 12 that's going to really come out of nowhere to compete with them again besides, your BYUs or your possible, I don't know, probably not Utah either. Probably your possible Arizona State, whatever it could be. But yeah, so I was left disappointed, but great game by Oregon, great job improvising, and I think they're going to give Indiana a run for their money.
All right, Bo, what you got?
Dan Lanning needs to understand that when you're coaching a game, it's real life. It's not PlayStation. It's not Xbox. You can't go for it on fourth down every single time. I know he talks all the time. It's in our DNA to be aggressive. That's fine. You want that. But at the same time, too, when you're in these games like this, sometimes you better just take the points. Take the points. Keep the pressure on the other team. And I just think there's too much. I don't know if it feels like it's desperation sometimes, or if it's ego, or I don't know. I can't think of the right word there. But it's like I keep watching. I'm going. You're going for fourth down again. Just kick the field goal. Take the points. Your defense is in a good spot. Don't give them field position. Just kick the field goal and then kick off and then make them have to go 75 yards to put points on the board. But, time and time again, he just kept going for fourth down. I think they went for it like 8 times on fourth down. That's, my goodness. There's some teams that don't go for it. Successful teams that don't go for it 8 or 10 times a whole season. And I just think that's just a little, just being a little bit too much cowboy there. And that's not going to work against Cignetti. So, Indiana's going to be entirely too disciplined. They're going to be entirely too fundamentally sound. They're so sound in everything they do. And if you're just going to come in and you're just going to be like just shooting from the hip, like the Wild Wild West or something, I mean, it's going to be they're going to beat them again, and it may be by a bigger margin this time. Now, granted, when they played at Autzen, there was a couple of bad turnovers by Dante Moore, and he threw a horrible interception in that Orange Bowl. Their offense, while they moved the ball okay at times, I mean Dan Lanning even said it after the game. He was like, we got to watch the film and figure out what's going on here. I mean, that's basically what he said. So I wouldn't feel too good going up against this Kurt Cignetti team, and I'll get to more of the Indiana stuff when we go to the next game. But I can't see, with that mentality and knowing who the two head coaches are, I can't see them beating Indiana in the next round.
Yeah, and to your point, they went for it on fourth down 8 times in that game. They were 4 of 8 on fourth down, and that seems like
4 of 8.
Yeah, that almost seems like a Kiffin thing. Like Kiffin had to learn, not because you remember that Alabama game he had. He went for it on fourth down and Alabama blew him out of the water that game because it was like that tin cup where he just drop ball.
Yeah,
Let me see how many times I can screw this up.
And It like it becomes a pride or an ego thing. Damn it, yes. I'm going to get the next one. Okay, I'm going to get this one. No, wait, I'm going to get this one. And then you never do because you're playing against such high-level teams, and you can't. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Texas Tech's offense, and there's a lot there to be desired. I mean, it really is. But defensively, I mean, Tech's good. That front's good. I mean, that Tech front played a ton of snaps, especially in the first half, and they never got worn out. It was their offense that kept screwing them over. And screwing up the game for them. I mean, the turnovers and the all the mistakes they made on offense and
holding Oregon to 13 points anyway is ridiculously good.
Yeah,
but like watching that game, to me, if Oregon would have went 0 for 8 on fourth down, I'd never thought Texas Tech had a chance of scoring in that game whatsoever. Because
that was such a mismatch between that was such a mismatch between just in the personnel between Oregon's defense and Texas Tech's offense. And, you know, and the reality with Texas Tech's offense, if you watch them play throughout the course of the year, and I'll be honest with you, the only time I watched them play was against BYU. You know, you watch them against BYU, and I think they scored 34 the second time they played. And they scored maybe like in the high 20s this first time they played. But it's like, guys, if y'all could actually run the football and could do a few more things up front, guys, you could have put 45 plus on the board both games easily. I mean, they left so many points out there, and when you play a team like Oregon, and I say it all the time, you're going to run into somebody where all your deficiencies are going to come to the floor, and then it's going to be like a crowbar to the spokes. You know, like you can go slow. If you're being not being stopped, but if somebody's got a beat on you. But the second they figured out crowbar in the spokes, stops instant, you know. And that's just what happened. I mean, they threw the crowbar in the spokes early, and they never could get in gear.
Yeah, because it seemed like Tech had like a couple of decent drives going, and then just something inexplicable would happen.
They got down inside the 5-yard line, turned the ball, and it was only 16-0. I think it was 16-0 at that point, and they turned the ball over on downs, or turned the ball over on downs, I think at the 2 or 3 yard line. Yeah. You know, of course, at that point, I kind of think they had to go for it. Given the time and knowing the struggles they were having on offense, they had to go for it. But once they got stopped there, I was like, that's ball game. I mean, any sliver of hope they had just left.
All right. And you know what? We've been talking so long. Scott, did you get in on this or not? Were you the first one I went to?
My bad, I was muted. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I went first. We're good. Yeah,
okay, because all three of us have been talking so much, I was like, damn, did I get Scott or not? Okay. Well, in that case, I was trying to postpone this next game. But anyway, all right, well, let's go to this one. The, kind of the game while we're all here, Alabama fans and all, is Alabama walks into the Rose Bowl and gets just absolutely out-Alabama'd by Indiana, 38-3. And this was another game. It was never close. I mean, Alabama defensively looked good the first drive. You sacked Mendoza twice, and then after that, we decided we didn't want to play anymore, and I kept, checking Facebook and checking my watch, seeing, well, are we going to start playing today? Well, apparently we didn't. And as requested, I'll let Feinbaum go first.
So, I look, I've had to contain myself for a long time for this discussion. Okay. So I feel like you have two sides of the same coin. Now you have one where Alabama was just plain awful. And then you have another side of the coin where Indiana played one of the best games of football I've ever seen. And it's typical Kurt Signetti. His team does not make mistakes. They don't get penalized. They don't miss assignments, defense or offense. I've never seen a team so like soundly composed. And I told Scott at work every day the week before that game happened. I said, look, I'm telling you right now, I don't know. There's a lot of Alabama fans that are excited that we can win this game. I don't see it. We're too inconsistent. We can't run the ball. We'll get on running later. But it's just hard to beat a team like Kurt Signetti's when they come into town and they don't make a single mistake. They beat you at the line of scrimmage. Their DBs run you over all game. Their receivers, you can't catch them. They're running post routes over the middle, and we have our DBs playing outside shoulders. They have a free cut for a touchdown every time. If I was Kurt Signetti, I'd put four wide and I'd run four posts because we're going to play on the outside shoulder and they're going to get 30 yards every time. I've just never been so embarrassed. I was anger left after the second quarter. From the second half, I was just disappointed. I felt like, and Godspeed to the Alabama fans who flew out to Pasadena and expected us to compete in that game. Because Lord God, you deserve a refund. It was that pathetic. It was that bad. I don't even know how. If you were an Alabama fan and you stayed the whole game, more power to you. I don't know how in the world you could have done it. I would have thrown up on the guy in front of me in the second quarter. I thought the 44-16 loss to Clemson in the Natty was probably the worst one I was going to see for a long time. And that was bad. I don't ever want to go to the Rose Bowl again. The last two Rose Bowls we've been to, we got blown out by Indiana, and then we lost in overtime to freaking Michigan and J.J. McCarthy, who threw 8 passes for 72 yards or whatever it was. I don't think we can win there, and it's really starting to bother me. And that kind of just stared on everything else. I'm not mad at the players. I'm not mad at the players at all. I am so disappointed in the staff that is surrounding Kalen DeBoer. I don't mind Kalen DeBoer at all. I think Kalen DeBoer is a very, very good coach. I just think the staff around him does not understand, or they can't figure out the concept of how SEC football is supposed to be played. I'm more proud that we even had a chance to win the SEC, not being able to run the ball, not being able to control the line of scrimmage. That was a feat in itself. The fact we only lost 3 games in the SEC while not being able to do those things. Our offensive line sucked the whole year. Our receivers, we could barely get them the ball. I swear I think Ty was hurt more than what they told us he was hurt. We couldn't run the ball. Every time I watch another team run the football, these guys bounce off tackles. They don't run into the crowd of people either. They find a hole. They're stutter stepping. They're trying to find something. Our running backs either run into a group of people and get tackled for a yard, or they'll get an open lane to the right and somebody will tap their thigh and they'll fall. And I'm just I'm so confused because one of our running backs is 240 pounds of muscle, so I don't know how that's happening. I feel like there's something wrong. I don't know if he's got a vitamin deficiency or what it is, but that just bothers me. And look, it makes me more mad because we were all athletes at one point. And I just feel the mindset has differed and has changed so much from, even 3 years ago when Saban was right the year before he retired. I feel like even then the attitude has changed. And we know Nick Saban obviously wasn't Nick Saban towards the end of his tenure. But even then, I still feel like the attitude is so far gone. The second half, I think we didn't even want to be there. I think we were just you know what? Go ahead and beat us. We don't care. We're not going to come out here and play football. We know we lost. It's over. We shouldn't be. I think they really thought that they shouldn't have been there in the first place. And they just kind of let Indiana just do whatever they wanted. And I hate it for all the Alabama fans that not only had to go out to Pasadena and watch the game, but had to go out to Pasadena and deal with those Indiana fans that I know were so obnoxious. And to not even put up a touchdown in a second-round playoff game, I never, ever thought I'd say that about an Alabama team. Regardless if you can't run or not, I figured we'd at least get lucky one time. I mean, we didn't even get lucky. And then Ty gets hurt. We pull him out. We put in Austin Mack, which I also thought was a questionable decision. I love Austin Mack. I think Austin Mack's a great player. But hell, if you're down that much, why don't you try the highest rated recruit you've ever gotten? I mean, you might as well just throw him in there and just see what happens. I mean, you can't hurt. I mean, we're not going to win. So, I mean, you might as well just see if this kid can spark something. I don't know what the problem was. I've never been so confused, like watching a game, like, okay, you know, like just Chad said, looking at my watch, like, all right. I mean, when is this? Are we going to do something, or are we just going to let them run us off the field? And that's exactly what they did. They ran us off the field. I mean, and kudos to Indiana. Indiana is a damn good football team. I don't know if anybody's going to beat them. I think they're way too sound. They don't make mistakes. They didn't talk shit. They didn't get in our faces. They didn't rub it in. They came into the stadium, waxed our ass, and left and went to the house. I mean, they didn't, like it was an everyday thing to them. They didn't care about the logo, which I know that's what a lot of people were thinking. They're like, oh, it's Alabama versus Indiana. The size will play a factor. The size didn't matter when they played Ohio State and they threw Ohio State's O-line around for 4 quarters. I mean, it didn't matter when they played Oregon and they threw Oregon around for 4 quarters. I mean, to all these Alabama fans, and I'm an alum. I mean, I get it. I've been a fan for a long, long time. But if you thought we were going to go in there and beat Indiana because of our logo, number one, or number two, because they haven't played anybody, which is the worst excuse I've ever heard. Oh, they played people. Okay, they went to Oregon in Eugene and won. They beat Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship. Regardless if you're an SEC guy or not, those are very good football teams. I mean, these are not guys that just showed up one day and just happened to be good. And Indiana bans around this misfit thing. They think that they are misfits that weren't meant to fit in anywhere else, and now they're banding together on a team and they're just beating everybody. And that's a hard team to beat, man. That's going to be difficult to get past. I apologize, I went on too long. Go ahead, Chad.
All right, thank you. All right, I got 2 things. One, Indiana beat us how we usually beat teams in the playoffs. And the second thing, I want to make sure this is what I heard. You said that you don't think Alabama deserved to be there. Is that what you said?
Brad. I think that's what I said. Did I say that?
No, I don't think you said. I don't think you said that.
Or maybe you said the players thought they shouldn't have been there.
The players felt that way.
Oh yeah, in the second half, like
their body language and the way they played.
Okay, I thought you were turning into one of those insufferable Notre Dame fans, but I digress.
No, Notre Dame's argument completely flipped when we won and Miami won.
Yeah. All right.
And then Miami won again.
Yeah. All right. Bro-Deucer, what do you have?
It's pretty simple, guys. Indiana made us quit, which was our motto. That's what we ran with for all those years. Make their ass quit. They made us quit. You know, the first play, and everybody's talking about it, when they went forward on 4th down on the 34, and you run a jet sweep. What? Like, are you serious? Jet sweep. That was your plan. Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now, when Ty went down and he got hit in the back, they gave up. That was the second quarter. We weren't quite to halftime yet. We were almost there, not quite to halftime. That was the end of the game, and I never saw any more fire out of anybody after that play. That play was it. When Ty went down with that hit and he fumbled, that was the last play of the game. I never saw anything else after that from Alabama. It was just like, we're out there, let's get this over with, let's get on the plane, and let's get our ass back to Tuscaloosa. We're done. That's it. So for us to be that way, for us to have gone out like that, I mean, sorry, not sorry. I don't know where we are right now. As Bama fans, how are we supposed to feel? Look, I eat my crow. I picked Indiana to win the game here on the show, but y'all all knew I was pulling for Bama. So I'll eat my crow. It is what it is. And I believed, and Brant said it a second ago, you know, that whole who is they. I was living off the who have they beaten, right? Who have they played? I did. I ate that. And that was wrong. And I'm here to eat my crow. I'm here to say I was wrong. But best believe I will not make that mistake again. You know, I'm going to be negative Nancy on the show for a while now. This coaching staff's going to have to prove it to me now. You're not going to hear me on here just picking them every week anymore. That's not happening. Until things get fixed, I will pick the other team to beat Bama. I don't care. I'm going to call it down the middle. But I have a trust issue with this coaching staff, and they've got to prove it to me. And I need to see some things being done. And we're going to talk about the portal here in a minute, but it doesn't look too great either. We'll get there in a second, but still feel good right now as a BAM. Doesn't feel good over here. But anyway,
yeah,
I'm done.
Well, I mean, we all picked Alabama to win. We're all going to have to eat our crow, but I mean, that's what makes sports great. You know, we sit here and we talk about it. Nobody's right 100% of the time. So if you're coming here looking for 100% accuracy, you're not going to find it, just like every other show. That's why we do this for fun and for banter, and we like, you know, talking with everybody. So, you know, I mean, but again, congrats to Indiana because they went in there, kicked our ass, and then left. And they're going to go to the Peach Bowl, kick Oregon's ass, and leave. It's going to be the same thing Friday. But I digress. Bo, what you got?
Yeah. You know, one of the things that, I did not even realize this, and this was actually a tweet put out, or some social media put out by Pat McAfee, and I did not even realize this, how old Indiana's roster is, and just to show you the direction of college football and how and where it's at now, is that it was like 80% of Indiana starters were a 4th, 5th, or a 6-year player. And so you add that together with guys who produced at other levels, so you get mature, competent athletes that understand what they're trying to do, and there you go. For me, it's not always about the portal. You know, just go and spend money in the portal. There are a lot of teams that have spent a lot of money in the portal, and they got nothing to show for it. Nothing. Hadn't won. Can't even qualify for bowl games. Some of the most portal, getting some of the most players out of the portal to their programs, and the fans are just all excited about it, and they're not getting the right guys. But Kurt Cignetti, whatever he's doing, being able to identify the right kind of players to fit his system at Indiana, I would say this. If I were a college football coach right now, or I were running the portal for my university, I would just I would put like some kind of bug, some kind of device in their coach's office so I could get wind of whoever they were after and then just go after those guys. Because it seems like they hit, it's like, you know, Bill Belichick. When Bill Belichick was in his prime doing his thing with the Patriots, he would always try to look to find the best version of whatever player he was looking for. So, like, for example, one of his favorite players that he ever coached was Dave Meggett. Remember him from the Giants? Guys, but back in the day when Belichick and Saban and Tom Coughlin and all those guys were with Parcells with the Giants. And he says, so I want to find the best guy that reminds me of Dave Meggett. And it's almost like Kurt Cignetti has that same philosophy. Maybe not exactly, but it's like, I need the best guy that can do this job here, and let's go get him. I don't care if he's a 2-star and he's coming from Texas State. Let's go get him. We'll make it work, and so on and so forth. And he's done a really good job of mastering the portal. Again, there's a lot of teams who are active in the portal and they don't have a clue. They're just spending money. They're just blowing through money. There's a lot of teams that are recruiting out of high school, and they're not being able to retain their players, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But great job by Indiana. I mean, he has built a solid foundation there, and they have a quality football team. So yes, I'm big on Indiana to win in the next round. But it was just so interesting when you watch that game, the body language of the players, the team of the players who were confident, and the team who was not confident in what they were doing. And that was very, very observed. I mean, it was very easy to see early on. You know, I don't just want to just dunk all over Alabama because I think for them to be able to do what they did with the deficiencies they have shows that they do have a good coaching staff. However, this game, it's one of two things. All right, guys, this has been going on for about 4 years. I mean, we got to the Rose Bowl and played Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and we had a center couldn't snap the damn ball to the quarterback. Guys, Bryce Young got sacked like 42 times the year after he won the Heisman. Okay? So, let's not act like this is a new thing with the offensive line. This is just what you call rock bottom. This is what we've hit with this offensive line, hitting rock bottom. So it's either one of two things. Okay, so I'm being positive here. Okay, this is the coach coming out in me. They know it. By the way, that Hollywood Smothers, ACC's leading rusher, had 180 carries last year, about 6 foot, about 200 pounds, a lot more versatile back. He's coming to Bama. I saw that earlier. It's 100% on 247 Sports.
Yeah, he was crystal balled earlier this morning, and then I guess
So that tells me right there my first answer. They know one of the major problems, and they're going to fix it. Okay, a whole slew of offensive. There's like 8 offensive linemen that are out of the program now. So, and I've seen where they've got some other offensive linemen coming in. I like some of the names I've heard. There was a guard from Michigan that was actually. I forget his name right now, but he was actually teammates with Michael Carroll at IMG, and he's a young guy too. I think he's only a freshman or a sophomore, but they played together at IMG. But anyway, point is they will
and real quick, you've also got a tackle from Mississippi State visiting too, a big tackle.
Yeah,
so, go ahead.
What you got there, Brant Bayless, Feinbaum?
He's committed. Hollywood's committed to Alabama.
Nice.
Well, hey, you heard it here first, folks. Hollywood coming in.
5 minutes ago.
Yep.
Yeah, so that tells me right there, they know what the problem is, and that's where they're going to work to fix, and they are going to fix it. Because I went back today, I was bored during my lunch break, and I watched the 2023 national championship game, the Washington Michigan game. Guys, if you get a chance, go back and watch that game, because I wasn't as into that game maybe as a lot of games. The Bama getting beat and kind of, being like, I'm going to watch this game just because it's college football. There ain't a back on Alabama's roster as good as the backup running back Washington had that year. And that's a fact. That is a fact. There's not maybe one lineman, maybe two, maybe, on this offensive line that could play for that offensive line at Washington. They ran hard inside zone. They ran man-on concepts. They ran the ball in between the tackles right at Michigan, and that was a really good Michigan defense. That was a 7-point game well into the fourth quarter. They just ran out of gas. They didn't have the butts on the defensive side to get enough stops against that Michigan offensive line. But go back and watch that, and you're like, why is that offense not in Tuscaloosa? I mean, Ryan Grubb was calling it. They ran the ball. They ran screens. I mean, their offense looked a million degrees better than what we put out there on the field. But I say all that to say that it looks as though they've identified the problem, and that's what they're going to work on to fix. Or they don't fix it, they don't make any changes, and they all get their asses fired. So either way, we might look back on this Rose Bowl game and go, that's the day that got Alabama going in, got Alabama back going in the right direction again, because it showed so many of the flaws of the program, and it got fixed one way or another. So that's the coach coming out in me saying that there's one of two directions this thing could go.
Yeah, and I agree. Things are going to get fixed. There's no way they're not. And
they have to. They make entirely too much money to not fix it.
Correct. And the one thing that you said that makes me feel good is you said how many offensive linemen left, because all of them wasn't good. So to me, I'm fine with that. Let's get some new ones in there, because the ones we had did not do their job.
The list of guys I watched, and I'm going to give a big shout out to a guy named Kyle Henderson. He does Wake Up Bama in the morning.
Yeah.
Great listen. And he put up a graphic there of all the linemen that are back. and it's nothing but like freshmen, and right now they're freshmen and redshirt freshmen. In other words, guys that they recruited, and I mean there's some really highly touted guys in there. Go look them up. You know, maybe they just weren't ready to go last year, and they're counting on the fact of these young guys developing, bring a few guys in through the portal, get a nice mix. I mean, there's an offensive lineman he came from Phoenix City. His name's Mal Waldrip. I mean, he was a 6'5", 330-pound guard coming out of high school. I mean, I saw him because I was still coaching. I saw him at one of the All-Star games. And you know how you see all those Division I bodies, and you're just like, man, God, these are just some good-looking athletes, you know. And then there's always like one or two alphas that are just bigger and better looking than everybody. That guy could block out the sun. I mean, he was massive. And if they can't get a guy like that ready to play, because I watched him play in high school, I watched him play in that All-Star game. The guy's got feet, he's got the size. If they can't get him ready to play, heads have got to roll. It's just that simple. I mean, you go look at the list of players that are still there. Michael Carroll, like one of the top offensive linemen that came out last year. You got Mal Waldrop. There's a number of guys on there, highly touted, nationally recruited guys. And if they're going to roll with them, they're going to bring in a mixture of some veterans to come in and compete. And that they've got to get in a situation where they're obviously. I'm not at practice. But practice has got to be hard. Practices have to be tough. You have to be so uncomfortable at practice that you can't stand it. And then when you get in a game, you're like, man, this is fun, dude. This is great.
Well,
I don't care that guy's a first round draft pick. I go against one every day.
Well, let me ask you a question.
You know?
How many players? And I hate going back and saying, you know, during the Saban era, because I hate that we don't have them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point.
Right.
How many players do you remember saying he made practices so hard that the games were easy?
Every stinking one of them.
Yeah.
Every one of them, every one of those guys would tell you they competed. And I learned this in my coaching days when I was coaching. I didn't give a crap who we played. We went ones-on-ones during the week. We went full contact. That's where I learned it from. I go to coaching clinics. I talk to people. I listen to people talk. I listen to Lane Kiffin talk. One year, and Nick came and talked, and I'll have to share those stories later, but just, you know, picking their brain and asking them questions and listening to other people and sitting there, though, like, I'm not saying they're worried about injury. You can't worry about injury. Everybody's going to get injured in football. But when you practice, it's got to hurt. When you lift in the weight room, it's got to hurt. Because the hurt is what makes it good. Because if you don't hurt there, your ass is going to hurt during the game when you're getting your teeth kicked in. And I think some of the stuff. I mean, again, I'm not there, guys. I can't say how they practice and do this, that, and the other. We got burned one time on a pass against the blitz where Indiana just, flawlessly picked everything up, bang, bang, bang. I mean, it was just it was a thing of beauty. And then Kane Womack got scared to death. Oh, can't do that anymore. Let's play too high. Let's play soft. Let's play off. Let's keep everything in front. So then it was death by 1,000 cuts. 4 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 9 yards. All the way down the field. No. Against Indiana, you got to put the pressure on. You got to crowd the line of scrimmage. You got to make Mendoza beat you and beat you and beat you and beat you. Because if not, that offensive line is going to pound you into submission. And we have college coaches that don't seem to understand. I mean, again, I didn't watch the film. I didn't do the game prep, but I'm just telling you what my eyes told me, what I saw when I watched the game and my coaching experience. Granted, it's high school. I know. But I can sit there and tell you, if somebody's kicking my ass, I'm going to do something else. And you might score 63 on me, but I'm going to try something, and I'm going to try something else, and I'm going to try something else, and I'm not going to play soft.
Yeah, and I'll say this before we move on to the Sugar Bowl, that Alabama fans, look, we got the transfer portal. I think we're definitely going to have a very good portal because nowadays in college football you cannot rely on freshmen. Not nowadays. You got to have somebody ready to play. Baseball's like that right now. That's for another day. But I think we'll have a very good portal, and Alabama will be back in this position next year. I have no doubt about it. All right.
What I say about the portal is your primary base still needs to come through high school recruits, because you still have to build something. You still have to develop something in somebody. Okay, and then when people who don't develop and they want to leave, like there's about 15 players leaving Alabama's program, not going to hurt one bit. I mean, not going to hurt. I mean, you will never even remember their names. And I'm not trying to disparage those young men. They came in, they worked, it didn't work out. They want a chance to go play somewhere else. That's fine. But when those kinds of things leave and you got some cash, I got a chance to go get 4 or 5 impact players. Go get the 4 or 5 impact players. To me, I think that's how the portal should be used. But that's just my thinking.
All right, let's go. Let's get to our last game. The Sugar Bowl. I mean, that had to have been the best game of the night. I mean, back and forth. Ole Miss makes a couple of plays at the end, and I had to go back because I didn't see the very ending. I had to see how they got their safety, and then they got to celebrate not once, not twice, but 3 times. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more from an Ole Miss fan. And real quick, how Trinidad Chambliss was not in New York for the Heisman ceremony, I will never know. And I could almost argue that he should have won it. But I'm sure we'll get some Big Ten fans. Well, Mendoza, I don't care. Chambliss is better. That's all I'm going to say. Von Baum, what you got?
I mean, I think it's just a masterclass of Ole Miss coming in and doing exactly what everybody said they couldn't do. And I think that they have banded, as much as Indiana has banded around the Misfits idea, I think Ole Miss has banded around we're going to win this national championship so we can slap our coach in the face and, say, you left our program to go here for more money. But in reality, not only are you going to lose out on a national championship, you're going to lose out on what you had already built and what you were continue to build. And that's why I never understood why he left in the first place. I feel like if he stayed, he had all the cards. Let's just say Lane Kiffin's still the coach at Ole Miss, and they go this far in the playoff, and let's say they lose to Miami. I mean, at that point, you're in the semifinals of the college football playoff. I mean, I feel like if anything, you can name your price. Name your price, and you can get anything you want. And I mean, I don't know if y'all have been paying attention to the portal, but I mean, Ole Miss is already making moves in the portal. And I mean, they've got some banger athletes coming in there. And I think that everybody is banding around the aspect of, okay, Pete Golding was not our first choice, obviously. He wasn't Alabama fans' first choice either, I can tell you that. And I told my friend this when we were watching the game. I said, maybe some people aren't meant to be coordinators, but they're meant to be coaches. They're meant to be head coaches. I think Pete Golding could possibly be one of those people. Yeah, we didn't like him as a defensive coordinator, but maybe he's got that swagger and that charisma to be a head coach. Maybe people respect him more as a head coach than they do a coordinator. Look, I don't know y'all, but when I was getting coached, when I was playing sports, I liked the guy who's going to come in there and chew my ass out. He was going to come in there, he's going to chew my ass out, and he was going to do the same thing the next guy and the same thing the next guy. He was loud, he was vocal, F this, F that. That's how I like to be coached, because he cares. It seems like he cares. And I think Pete Golding, when he got the opportunity, was thinking, they don't really think I can do it. They're just trying to keep me here so we can kind of keep the team together as much as we can. And I think he's proving everybody wrong, and I think he's doing a great job. I really do. Pete Golding, that's probably the only compliment you'll ever get from me ever. But I think you're doing a really, really good job. And I think Ole Miss has an opportunity and a chance to be a national champion.
All right. Bro Deucer, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off what Brant just said. I agree 100%. Look, I have been down on this coach many, many, many times. A lot of people have. Nobody gave Ole Miss a shot at doing anything after Lane left. Lane left for a reason. I don't think Lane believed they'd get this far. I don't. I think if Lane knew today that he'd be sitting here looking at Miami and then looking across the board at who's not there, would he have stayed? Would he have stayed? Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a damn good chance of winning the Natty this year. Damn good chance. I honestly feel like 3 of these teams have a shot at winning this title. 3 of these remaining teams. I'll let you figure out which 3 I'm talking about. But Ole Miss is one of them. And for the life of me, nobody believed in them. And I think they're using that. Golden's using that as fire. I mean, nobody saw them beating Georgia. I certainly didn't. Everybody on this show had Georgia winning the Natty this year. You know, all of us did. So, you know, just to see what Ole Miss did, and like what Chad said about Chambliss not being in New York, why? Why was he at least not there? That kind of blew me away too. He's had a damn good season. But man, hotty toddy, guys. Like, why not? You know, I look, if I had to pick a winner of this thing right now, it's probably going to be Indiana, just because I just watched them do what they do to Alabama. But man, I would not be mad at all if Ole Miss won the whole dang thing, man. Just to watch them, just to you know, they beat Georgia, guys. I mean, nobody saw that coming.
Well, they beat them last year.
Nobody.
They beat them last year.
In this type of atmosphere in the playoffs, I never would have picked that ever. I would have stayed away from that all day long. I never would have taken them to win ever. Not Kirby Smart, not in the playoffs. No way. Not Ole Miss. No chance. And they did it. So good for them. I'm happy for them. Congratulations, Ole Miss fans.
All right, Bo, before we get your take, I have a quick bettor's question for you. What do you think the odds would have been if you would have put $10 on, say, an Indiana Ole Miss national championship game this year?
God, I mean, for them to end up being the 2 teams,
yeah,
very large. I mean, you would have gotten very large odds. I can tell you this.
So this would have been more than pizza money.
Well, let me let you guys in on a little secret. I bought a ticket on Ole Miss at 20-1 about 6-8 weeks ago.
Oh.
So you do the math.
Well, how much you put down on it?
$10 standard pizza money.
Okay.
Now, first of all, let me say this. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but you know, we're all fam here, but I'm a closet Ole Miss fan. And I have been my whole life.
So you just came out of the closet.
Because my grandfather is from Kiel, Mississippi, and he loved Ole Miss football. He loved Ole Miss and Ole Miss football more than life itself. When my father was growing up, they had a Boston Terrier named Rebel.
Oh.
Okay. So I have always kind of pulled for Ole Miss on the sly, on the down low. Always an Alabama fan, never anything but. But I've always kind of, you know, pulled for Ole Miss and rooted for Ole Miss. Personal things aside there, I would like to say this, and, you know, Lane Kiffin, okay, that whole dynamic is just taking on a life of its own. But, you know, everybody talks about Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti is the portal master. He's the transfer portal master. Well, how do you think Lane Kiffin built this team? So here you have 2 teams, 2 coaches who have absolutely mastered the portal. I mean, he went and got Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. went and got a quarterback from Division II. And here he is. He may be, and this is no slight at Fernando Mendoza, and I'm not taking a shot at the Big Ten. But to watch that young man play and to watch him single-handedly beat Georgia by himself, he may be the best player left in the tournament. That don't mean they're going to win it, but when you got a guy like that touches the ball every single play, you got a chance. And that's why I always talk about how important quarterback play is, because here, Ole Miss is to the SEC what Indiana is to the Big Ten. Took Kiffin a little bit longer, but both of those teams, you know, for those of you who don't live down in the South, we have a little saying down here: more than one way to skin a cat. And there are teams, I mean, you know, that like Ohio State, they recruit top players, they pull a few from the portal, they pay their guys. That's how they run their teams. Indiana, they go through the portal. Ole Miss is the same way. But just the whole dynamic. Clemson, done. Ohio State, out. Bama, ass drug. Georgia, knocked out. And here we got Ole Miss, Miami, Indiana, and
Oregon.
So one team hadn't won a title in 25 years. The other three hadn't won one at all. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing shakes out. Personally, I think it's Miami versus Indiana. And in no way am I trying to disrespect Indiana. I just feel like Miami they play basically the same similar kind of ball, and I think Miami just may have a little more top end talent. And I'll take Miami, razor thin, very close ball game, but would not shock me one bit if Indiana were to win the national championship. It also wouldn't shock me if Trinidad Chambliss threw a Superman cape on again and ran circles around those defensive linemen from Miami and just wore them out from them chasing them all over the place, and they just wear them down and end up winning late in the game. So it'd be a fascinating last three games here, guys.
Hey, Chad, real quick for you. I got a little better thing for you. At the beginning of the season, obviously, this ticket did not hit because I wouldn't be here. Me and my roommate put $200 on this. Sorry, listen to this. Ty Simpson to win the Heisman, Alabama to win the SEC, Alabama to win the national championship. It was $200 to win like $2.3 million.
Oh,
and let me tell you, halfway through the season, I thought I was going to be a millionaire. I won't lie. I thought that I had it set in stone, and
hey, what's interesting, Brent? You bring that up, and yeah, just going back to the Alabama game or Alabama season. They actually ran the ball decently. I mean, they had like 120 against Georgia. They had 130, 140 against Missouri. Had 140 against Auburn. I mean, they faced some good defensive fronts and managed ways to run the football. I don't know what LSU did, but it was like they threw the crowbar in the spokes. And from LSU on, I mean, granted, I know we played Auburn after that, but we also had a bye, and that only lasted for about a half, remember? And then Auburn made adjustments, and then we struggled to move the ball in the second half. And, it just got exponentially worse after the LSU game and really the second half of the Auburn game. And, it was one of those things. It wasn't like we went from 130 yards a game to like 95 yards a game or 100 yards a game. It went from 130 yards a game to 12.
Yeah.
And that's totally impossible when you're facing defenses of that level to be one-dimensional. And on top of that, they know it. And if I know it, I know they know it.
Well, it was very noticeable. And last thing I guess on the Sugar Bowl is just congrats to Ole Miss, because I don't think hardly anybody saw this coming. I mean, I'm happy for them. I mean, I've been a fan for 47 years, and I couldn't be happier for a Mississippi team to go and hopefully play for a national championship. I mean, Ole Miss has got a little bit of football history, to them with Johnny Vaught, Eli Manning. So, good for them. We got enough time to move on to the transfer portal, Bo. You got anything on that?
I was just going to say, and I won't be long on this, there are nearly 5,000 players in the portal. 30% of all college football players are in the portal. I mean, it's just madness. It's just absolute madness. And, there's a lot of illegal stuff going on, poaching, trying to offer money to get players to go into the portal. It's just crazy. There's got to be, if this is going to be the law, the lay of the land, there's got to be some kind of regulation, some kind of restriction on it. You can't have every year. Eventually, what's going to happen is every year 50% or more are going to jump in the portal just to try to strong arm these teams to get more money. And I feel like a lot of that is what's going on. And it's like you're at a place, you're getting paid, but I want to go see if I can get more. And I have no problem if that's the lay of the land. I say make all the money you can, but there's a couple things. One, you gotta look at fit. How do you fit at the schools? How do you fit with those teams? Two, I'm also concerned about players not graduating. I mean, I know I was a walk-on in college. I know if I had not stuck with it and got my degree, my life would be totally different than it is right now. And I just wonder some of these players are listening to the wrong people. They're simply going after money. And they're not doing what's best for them for their long-term future, because the reality is there's only like 3% of all those players that's going to play in the NFL. That's it. And of those 3%, there's only like 1% that are going to last. If a player transfers 3-4 times, he's not graduating. He's not graduating from anywhere.
TJ Finley.
That dude, I swear to you, that dude is going to draw Social Security before he gets a college degree.
He's on his sixth school.
He's in the portal again.
Yeah, that's why I said his name.
Portal. I mean, that is just madness. And all these 6-year people, you got 5 years to play for. End of discussion. I mean, you're getting to where John Calipari had a great. The more I hear him talk about that, I've always couldn't stand John Calipari, but the more I hear him talk about the portal, it was great. He was telling a story about how there was a basketball player. It's a true story out of college that he was using his NIL money he was getting from playing basketball to pay alimony from his first wife that he divorced, while his current wife and kids are in the stands watching him play. And the guy's like 27 years old playing college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, some of these kids just have a cup of coffee with their team, and it's
it's like they just stay, see what they can get, and then leave, or stay. Oh, hey, I went to Bama, I went to Florida, I went to Ohio State. Look at me, look how good I am. Let me just add that to my resume and tack on another 30% here, and then throw myself to the highest bidder. And not one of them is concerned about the most unsexy thing on the earth, and it's called process. Process. Nick Saban talked about it all the time, and I stole this fair and square from Nick Saban. I used to talk to my kids about this all the time when I was coaching. Process. You want to go somewhere, do the process. And we talked all the time about what the process was. The process of life, the process of being a better person, the process of doing things right, the process of working hard, practicing, doing everything right in everything that you do. Not just trying to do it for the glorification or to try to get some likes on social media. And it just seems like I mean, and I'm not saying watch that Indiana team play. That's a bunch of hard-nosed dumpster guys right there, man. And I mean that in the most sincere form of flattery. I don't mean dumpster as in bad. I mean, when I say dumpster, I mean those guys are getting in the dumpster. They're getting dirty. They're getting their hands dirty. Whatever they got to do to get the job done, But there's less and less of that now, and there's more and more of glitz and glam, and we got to announce everything. I'm staying. I'm going. I got to this. I'm going here. Just shut up. Get in the weight room. Get better. Play football. And if you do the right things, it's amazing that the other stuff will come to you. But you got to do process first, because eventually people are going to get tired of dealing with you. So when that 30% next year is 35%, 38%, 40%, and then we get to the point to where every year 50% of players are going into the portal, we got to say, at what point do we say, 18-year-old, you don't know enough about life yet. Let us help you out. Let us give you some guidelines and some parameters, and give you a path and a path that's going to make sure that your future is set up. Because when you stay at a school, man, you get all those connections to the alumni, you get job connections, because very few of those people are going to play in the NFL. And those guys that stay and do things the right way and can talk to those adults and present themselves well, they're going to set themselves up for the rest of their lives. And the ones who don't and all they're worried about is getting money, it's just going to create more and more chaos for the portal. So I just hope the NCAA gets a grip on this.
They won't. They're useless. All right, before we go, Scott, you got anything you want to add, or you have an I can't stand it? Is Scott on mute again? Brant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
No, like I said earlier, sorry guys, I've got the flu and I'm coughing and sneezing and everything else, and I'm trying to keep it muted. But anyway, yeah, no, like we talked about earlier, just keeping an eye on the Bama portal, watching the guys coming, the rumors of who's coming and who's going, and just kind of keeping a close eye on that. See also Ty Simpson. What happens with him? Is he going to the NFL? Is he going to the portal? Is he coming back for another year? I'm anxious to find out where his future lies. I mean, you're not going to hear me say a bad thing about Ty. He played hard. Guy played hurt. Wasn't his fault. Our offensive coordinators couldn't figure things out. I don't put much blame on him for anything in a negative way. But no, I'm watching him. I'm watching these notifications that are rolling in, just trying to see who's going and who's staying and who we got coming in. So it's going to be interesting the next couple of days.
All right. Feinbaum, you got anything before we sign off?
Nothing too major. Number one, I hope Alabama's portal. I want to see line of scrimmage. I want to see some dogs on the line of scrimmage come in the portal. I give a damn about skill players right now. I mean, because we got a major issue on line of scrimmage, and it needs to be fixed. And I'll just real quick on to Bo's point talking about Indiana. I think the thing with Indiana, Bo, is I think that Kurt Cinetti's got a bunch of guys that would rather pick up pennies in a line to get to $1 million rather than somebody just hand them $1 million. I think that they want to work to get to the million. I don't think they just want to be handed it to them. I think they want to work their way to national championships, to millions, and that's how it should be, and that's how Nick Saban installed his system in Alabama. I mean, you hear Kurt Cinetti talk about, I see Indiana fans, like, oh, Kurt Cinetti didn't learn everything from Nick Saban. Kurt Cinetti told you in the college football playoff interviews segment, he said, I learned more from Nick Saban in 1 year of coaching than I learned from any of the assistant coaches I worked for 15. He said, and that's what I took his blueprint and I applied it to what I have today. And look what Indiana's turned into. It obviously works. So that's that point. I did have a question I was going to gauge the group, and in all seriousness, let's just say you wake up in the morning and you get a notification that says Ty Simpson has declared he's returning to Alabama. I mean, I think the first thing that everybody's going to think is why. It's not that we don't want you. We love Ty Simpson. We think Ty Simpson's a good person. The world needs more Ty Simpsons, more Jake Cokers, people who go through the process of learning how to play the game correctly and then going somewhere they can flourish, or waiting their opportunity to start so they can flourish. I completely understand. I completely agree. We need more people like that. But there's also that side of me as an Alabama fan who's like, Ty, you've been here for 5 years. I mean, you're still right now on Mel Kiper's board, a first-round pick. Like, maybe it's time to pack it up and kind of give Austin or Keelan the opportunity to shine, because both those guys are really good. I'm just kind of curious on what y'all would think. It doesn't have to be a long response. Just curious on what y'all's feelings would be towards that. And after that, that's all I got, Chad.
I will say I will support him. I'm not going to be one of those Bama fans that say, yeah, I hope he goes. I think for the future as a business, if you're looking at Alabama as a business, for Alabama it would be better if he left. Because if he stays, who's to say Russell's not going to go somewhere? Because I don't think he's going to want to wait another year when he's, he'll probably be ready to play next year. Let's be honest. So, but if he stays, I'll support him. If he goes, I'll support him. Bo.
Well, even if Keelan Russell is not 100% ready, I think he's pretty clearly the future. I mean, he was the number one prospect sought after in DeBoer's first year. I think he's clearly has the edge to be the guy, but what you do is you surround him with an offensive line and a run game and bring him along. You don't just go out there and throw him out there and say, here, son, throw for 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. But you also don't want to go the Michigan route. And I'm not knocking Bryce Underwood on this, because Sharon Moore had a lot going on non-related to football that was keeping him, from making a clear, conscious choice of decisions in regarding the football program. But you also can't say, okay, we're going to ask you to throw the ball 11 times. There's got to be a balance. You got to put some comfortability into him. Any offensive coordinator worth his salt, that's worth anything, can get 5 to 8 throws in a college football game that are layups for their quarterback by scheme. Period. If you can't do that, you need to go. And if you can't get Keelan Russell in there, put him behind an offensive line that's not going to get him killed, be able to run the football and design some throws, and then open the playbook up as the season goes, and he builds more trust with the team, then you don't need to be coordinator. It's that simple.
Scott?
Well, Kuiper's currently got him on the tie as the number 3 quarterback in this draft. So with that said, with the 40th pick in the 2006 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Ty Simpson.
We got something. We don't need him. Yeah, we got our guy. We don't need him.
We got our guy.
We need a lot of picks. Now, we need a lot of players.
Yeah, quarterback ain't one of them now.
I don't think quarterback's one now.
Yeah.
Y'all really bought in on that guy, huh?
Hey.
Well, I tell you what.
He's looked good.
Okay.
I mean, he got better. He got better every week, and he's only got one receiver. And
okay.
If they'll commit to putting some players around him, plus you got to think having a low salary like that.
Yeah.
Having a low salary like that, they can go into free agency and bring some guys in too. So
yeah,
who knows?
All right. Well, look.
Okay,
guys, we'll have an NFL channel here quick enough. Let's not overstay our welcome here. We've been on here an hour and 12 minutes, yakking away. It's been a great show. Bob, we are back on a regular schedule now, so we will be coming to you semi-live, as Brett Musburger would say, 2 to 3 days a week. Next show, little preview, we'll be going over the Final Four games, and I think probably by then we should have some more for the transfer portal. Hopefully we'll have some more commitments from each team. We'll kind of go over those too. So,
and by the way, hey, Cam Coleman's supposed to visit on Wednesday.
Yes,
I just don't think he's coming.
We will go through all of that. We're running long. Like I said, we'll go through all of that, guys. Zip it. For the Brant Feinbaum, for Coach Bo and the producer, I am the Chad Bullock, and we will see you next time.